Every fairy tale has a price. For Meghan Markle, the former Suits actress who walked through the gilded gates of Buckingham Palace and into the arms of a prince, the price of her fairy tale was supposed to be silence. Duty over desire. Service over spotlight. The crown over Hollywood. She did not pay it. Instead, Meghan did something that royal watchers say no one has ever done with such calculated precision. She turned the monarchy into a monetizable asset. Not through official channels, not through the Queen's consent, but through the raw, unregulated economy of modern fame. Podcasts. Netflix documentaries. Tell-all interviews. A memoir from her husband that reads like a psychological thriller. And at the center of it all, a woman who refuses to disappear, who instead doubles down, pivots, rebrands, and keeps the cash register ringing. This is part 3 of our series. And if you thought the exit was dramatic, wait until you see how she plans to profit from the wreckage. Let's rewind briefly, because context is the enemy of outrage and outrage is the fuel of this story. When Meghan and Prince Harry stepped back as senior royals in January 2020, an event they famously branded Megxit before the media stole the term, they promised financial independence. No more sovereign grant. No more taxpayer funding. They would carve their own path in North America, earning their own income while retaining their titles, for a year-long review period, and their global security detail, funded by a mysterious private donor, later revealed to be friends of the couple. On paper, it sounded noble. In practice, it was the beginning of the most aggressive brand launch in celebrity history. Within months, the couple had signed with the Harry Walker Agency, one of the most powerful speaking bureaus in the world, commanding fees of up to $1 million per appearance. Then came the blockbuster deal with Netflix, reportedly worth $100 million, to produce documentaries, docuseries, feature films, and children's programming. Then Spotify, a $20 million podcast deal. Then Meghan's own foray into the investment world, backing the plant-based coffee brand Clever Blends. Then the announcement of American Riviera Orchard, her lifestyle brand that promises to compete directly with Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop. But here is the dangerous part, the part that royal insiders whisper about behind closed doors, the part that Buckingham Palace's legal team has reportedly reviewed with growing alarm. Almost all of this revenue streams from the royal connection. Let me ask you a question. If Meghan Markle had never married Prince Harry, would anyone pay $1 million to hear her speak? Would Netflix have handed her a 9-figure production deal? Would Spotify have given her a podcast? Of course not. She was a talented actress on a moderately successful cable drama. She was a lifestyle blogger, the TIG. She was an advocate for gender equality and clean water. All admirable. None of it is the stuff of global superstardom. What changed? The royal title. The Duchess of Sussex. The wedding watched by 1.9 billion people. The access to the most famous family in the world. The inside knowledge of how the crown really operates. And this is where the danger lies. Because the British monarchy is not a brand in the conventional sense, it is an institution of state, protected by centuries of tradition, secrecy laws, and a tacit agreement with the press. We will not destroy you if you do not expose us. Meghan broke that agreement. Not accidentally. Deliberately. And she monetized the breach. Consider the Netflix docuseries Harry and Meghan. 6 episodes. Millions of viewers. And what was the central selling point? Not their love story. Not their charity work. The inside dirt on the royal family. The allegation of unconscious bias. The claim that the palace was willing to lie to protect other royals. The revelation that Kate Middleton made Meghan cry, not the other way around, contradicting years of tabloid reporting. The assertion that the royal family is a dysfunctional, image-obsessed corporation where truth is optional. These are explosive claims. They would be impossible to make without the platform of royalty. And they are content. Content that generates subscriptions. Content that drives viewership. Content that turns the monarchy into entertainment. The palace, for its part, has largely remained silent, the old strategy of never complain, never explain. But insiders say the silence is not acceptance. It is calculation. Because any response, any lawsuit, any public rebuttal would only draw more attention to the allegations and, more dangerously, invite discovery. What documents would be subpoenaed? What emails would become public? The Crown cannot afford to litigate this in open court. So Meghan speaks, and the Crown absorbs the damage, and the money flows into Montecito. Part 3 of this series would be incomplete without addressing the elephant in the room, Prince Harry's memoir, Spare. Published in January 2023, Spare broke records as the fastest-selling non-fiction book in history, moving over 1.4 million copies in its first day in the US, UK, and Canada. By any measure, it was a commercial triumph. But it was also a thermonuclear device dropped into the heart of Windsor. The revelations were staggering. Harry's claim that his brother William physically attacked him during an argument over Meghan. The allegation that King Charles had made cruel jokes about Harry's parentage. The detailed account of frostbitten genitals from a trip to the Arctic, yes, really. The admission of cocaine and marijuana use as a teenager. The confession of killing 25 Taliban fighters in Afghanistan. But for our purposes, the most relevant passages are those that tie directly to monetization. Harry writes openly about his fear that the royal family's press office would trade negative stories about him and Meghan to protect other royals. He describes a system where the Crown maintains its image by sacrificing its less favored members. And he frames his and Meghan's exit as an escape from a toxic, corrupt institution. Critics immediately pounced on the hypocrisy. How can you claim to want privacy while publishing the most intimate details of your family's dysfunction? How can you speak of protecting your children while exposing them to global ridicule? How can you accept tens of millions of dollars to tell stories that you admit caused you trauma? The answer, according to Meghan's defenders, is that the couple never wanted privacy, they wanted control. Control over their own narrative. Control over how they are perceived. Control over the terms on which they participate in the public sphere. And if the only way to achieve that control is to become your own media empire, then so be it. But the more cynical interpretation, the one that fuels the viral TikTok breakdowns and the YouTube commentary videos, is that Meghan identified a market gap. There is a massive, hungry audience for anti-royal content, especially from an insider. She and Harry are uniquely positioned to serve that audience. And they have priced their services accordingly. Not every monetization attempt succeeds. The couple's partnership with Spotify, for example, ended in mutual acrimony after just one season of Meghan's podcast, Archetypes. The show, which explored stereotypes that hold women back, featured interviews with celebrities like Serena Williams, Paris Hilton, and Mariah Carey. It won a People's Choice Award. It also reportedly failed to meet Spotify's performance expectations, and the streaming giant cut ties, with one executive famously calling the couple grifters. The fallout was telling. Meghan's team accused Spotify of not supporting female creators. Spotify's head of podcast innovation, Bill Simmons, responded on his own show, The Fucking Grifters. That's the podcast we should have done with them. It was a rare public breach of the polite fiction that the couple's deals are mutually beneficial. But here's the deeper problem: Archetypes didn't fail because the content was bad. It failed because it wasn't royal enough. Listeners tuning into a podcast by the Duchess of Sussex didn't want career advice from Paris Hilton. They wanted palace intrigue. They wanted behind-the-scenes gossip. They wanted the same dangerous, boundary-pushing revelations that made Harry and Meghan a hit. When they didn't get it, they tuned out. Meghan learned the lesson. Her next major project, the as-yet unreleased Netflix cooking and lifestyle show, is reportedly steeped in her life as a duchess. Sources say it will feature homages to royal traditions, including a recreation of the lemon cake served at her wedding. In other words, more monetization of the monarchy, this time through the language of domesticity and nostalgia. Whether the public will accept this rebrand remains to be seen. The danger is that Meghan is cycling through personas too quickly: the victim, the feminist, the lifestyle guru, the investor, without ever settling into a coherent identity. And in the attention economy, incoherence is death. No analysis of Meghan's monetization strategy would be complete without examining her relationship with the press. It is, perhaps, the most brilliant and dangerous element of her entire approach. Traditional royal protocol dictates that you never sue the media. You absorb the stories. You turn the other cheek. You trust that the institution is bigger than any single article. Prince Charles, now King Charles, once famously said, "If they write something nice about you, don't believe it. If they write something nasty, don't believe it either." Meghan rejected this entirely. She sued the Mail on Sunday for publishing a private letter to her estranged father, winning the case in 2021. She and Harry have filed multiple lawsuits against paparazzi agencies. They have issued cease and desist letters. They have publicly named and shamed journalists they consider biased. On the surface, this is a defense of privacy. But look closer. Every lawsuit, every legal victory, every public statement about press intrusion generates headlines. And those headlines keep the couple relevant. They also create a powerful narrative: Meghan versus the machine. The underdog fighting the establishment. The woman who refused to be silenced. That narrative is worth billions in the attention economy. It is the same narrative that powered Princess Diana, and we all know how that story ended. The difference is that Diana never tried to sell the story as content. She gave interviews, yes, but she didn't have a Netflix deal. She didn't have a podcast. She was a tragic figure, not a brand. Meghan is a brand. And every media fight, every leaked document, every source close to the couple is a calculated beat in an ongoing marketing campaign. The danger is that the public may eventually tire of the victim narrative. The danger is that the media, which she claims to despise, is actually her most valuable business partner. Let's talk about the newest chapter, American Riviera Orchard. Announced with a sleek Instagram launch and a trademark application that spans cookbooks, tableware, and food products, the brand is Meghan's most direct attempt to build a commercial empire outside the shadow of the royal family. The name evokes the California coast, where she lives in a $14 million mansion with Harry and their 2 children. The aesthetic is rustic chic, all linen napkins and fresh jam. But dig into the trademark filing, and you'll find something interesting. The brand also covers charitable fundraising services and educational services related to cooking and entertaining. In other words, American Riviera Orchard is not just a business, it is a platform for Meghan to position herself as a philanthropist and thought leader, just as she did with the Sussex Royal brand before being told she couldn't use the word royal commercially. The danger here is twofold. First, the lifestyle market is already crowded. Goop, Magnolia, Food 52, and 1,000 influencers on Instagram are fighting for the same disposable income. Meghan's advantage, her royal halo, is also her liability. Does anyone believe that the Duchess of Sussex spends her mornings making jam from scratch? The cognitive dissonance is real, and critics have already begun mocking the launch as tone-deaf. Second, and more seriously, American Riviera Orchard may be a vehicle for something larger. Royal experts have speculated that Meghan is using the brand to bypass the restrictions placed on her by the Sandringham Summit Agreement, which forbids her from using her royal title for commercial purposes. By building a brand that is nominally about California living, she can quietly monetize her celebrity without explicitly invoking the crown. But everyone will know the subtext. Everyone will remember where she came from. It is a dangerous game. And the palace is watching. No discussion of this topic is honest without addressing the growing wave of public criticism. It is not limited to tabloid readers or royalists. It includes former fans, progressive commentators, and even some of Meghan's former allies. The critique goes something like this: Meghan Markle has monetized not just the monarchy, but her own trauma. The racism she faced. The suicidal ideation she revealed in the Oprah interview. The alleged mistreatment by palace aides. These are real, painful experiences. And she has turned them into content for a global audience. Is that empowerment? Or is it exploitation of herself, of her children, of the institution she once swore to serve? The question is uncomfortable because the answer is not clear. On one hand, Meghan has every right to tell her story and to earn a living from it. On the other hand, the relentless churn of revelations, each one timed to a product launch or a documentary premiere, suggests a cynicism that is hard to ignore. Consider the timing of the Oprah interview. It aired in March 2021, just weeks before the couple's first Netflix project was announced. Consider the timing of Spare. It was released in January 2023, months after the couple's Spotify deal collapsed. Consider the timing of the Harry and Meghan docuseries. It dropped in December 2022, perfectly positioned for holiday binge-watching. Coincidence? Or a meticulously planned release calendar designed to maximize revenue? The public is not stupid. And the danger for Meghan is that the more she monetizes, the less authentic she appears. And in the world of personal branding, authenticity is the only currency that matters. Once it's gone, you cannot buy it back. What can the monarchy do about all of this? Surprisingly little, at least publicly. King Charles has reportedly adopted a strategy of strategic silence. He does not comment on his son or daughter-in-law. He does not respond to allegations. He has, however, taken quiet administrative actions. Harry and Meghan were evicted from Frogmore Cottage, their UK residence. They were stripped of their remaining royal patronages. They were not invited to the coronation concert, only the formal service. And crucially, the palace has stopped feeding the media machine with counter-leaks. This is a dangerous move in its own way. By refusing to engage, the palace allows Meghan's narrative to stand unchallenged. But it also denies her the oxygen of controversy. If the palace never responds, the media eventually loses interest. The story becomes old. The monetization pipeline dries up. It is a waiting game. And Meghan knows it. Her recent public appearances, a red carpet in a red dress, a solo appearance at a children's hospital gala, suggest she is trying to shift the narrative away from royal drama and towards substantive work. But old habits die hard. Every interview she gives includes at least one oblique reference to the hard years or the institution that didn't protect her. She cannot help herself. Because without the monarchy, what is she? This series is titled Meghan Markle's Dangerous Attempt to Monetize the Monarchy. But the danger is not just to the monarchy. It is to Meghan herself. The British royal family has survived for over 1,000 years. It has weathered wars, scandals, revolutions, and divorces. It will survive Meghan Markle. What may not survive is Meghan Markle, at least, not as the beloved figure she clearly wants to be. The public has a short memory for celebrities but a long memory for those who overexpose themselves. The Kardashians built an empire on overexposure, but they never pretended to be anything else. Meghan wants it both ways. She wants the privacy of a private citizen and the influence of a royal. She wants the sympathy of a victim and the wealth of a mogul. She wants the respect of an activist and the attention of a reality star. These contradictions are unsustainable. At some point, something has to break. And that is the cliffhanger for Part 3. Because Part 4, and yes, there will be a Part 4, will ask the question that no one wants to answer: what happens when the money runs out? Meghan Markle is 43 years old. Her children are young. Her husband is increasingly estranged from his family. Her media deals are shrinking, not growing. Her lifestyle brand has not yet launched a single product. Her podcast career is on hold. Her Netflix relationship is reportedly strained, with executives questioning the return on investment. The monarchy, meanwhile, is stable. King Charles has been diagnosed with cancer, but the institution continues. Prince William and Kate Middleton are popular. The British public, by and large, has moved on. Meghan cannot afford for them to move on. Her entire economic model depends on her remaining relevant, controversial, and visible. And the only reliable way to achieve that is to keep talking about the royals. But how many times can she tell the same story before the audience changes the channel? How many documentaries, memoirs, interviews, and podcasts can she produce before the well runs dry? These are not rhetorical questions. They are the central tension of her post-royal career. And the answer will determine whether Meghan Markle is remembered as a trailblazer who broke the monarchy's code of silence or as a cautionary tale of ambition without limits. Part 4 will explore the financial reality behind the headlines. The lawsuits. The unpaid bills. The rumors of marital strain. The possibility that the fairy tale is already over, and no one has told the prince. But that is for another day. For now, the camera is still rolling. The microphones are still live. And the Duchess of Sussex is still selling the only thing she has left. A story. A title. A dream. And the monarchy, whether it likes it or not, is the price.